Hello, readers! It is time for another chapter of Dory Fantasmagory. So, before we start chapter 5, we need to think about what happened yesterday in our chapter. Our chapter was called, If You Take a Dog to the Doctor. Now, do you remember how Dory got turned into a dog? If you remember, she now has a fairy godmother named Mr. Nuggy. And he turned her into a dog. Now, she's taking it pretty seriously because we know she's not actually a dog. So in this chapter, if you remember, her mom was trying to take her to the doctor, and she was not making it easy. At the doctor, did Dory use any human words? She used a few, but not really. She mostly just said woof to everything, even to the point where they couldn't finish their eye test. Pretty silly. And it ended with her getting a shot. Now, was Dory's mom happy with how she acted at the doctor? No, not really, which I think is why this next chapter, chapter 5, is called Time Out. Now, yesterday I asked you to think about what is going to happen while Dory is in time out. So I want you to remember what you said. Maybe you had some good guesses about what she's going to be doing during time out. And we're going to find out. Okay, chapter 5, Time Out. When we get home from the doctor, I am in huge trouble. My mom tells me I have to go to my room for time out. I say, you can just leave my dog food in a bowl outside my door. Woof! This makes my mom so mad that she grabs my paw and drags me up the stairs. Walk, she says. I am, I cry. On 2 legs, my mom yells. Alone in my room, I suddenly don't feel like being a dog at all. I've got too many problems as a dog. I show Mary my wound. She feels so bad for me. I put my nightgown back on and then I open my bedroom door a tiny bit. I can hear my family talking about me in the kitchen. Rascal gave the doctor a shot, Luke says, laughing. She is out of control, Violet says. She is laughing too. Then I hear an unfamiliar voice. And she's still got a lollipop, says the voice. Who was that? It sounded like a wicked, old, Well, was that Mrs. Gobblecracker? I do not believe it. I walk closer to the stairs to hear better. All she could do was bark. I've never been so embarrassed in my life, says my mom. How babyish, laughs the voice. Now I'm sure it's Mrs. Gobblecracker. Are they all sitting around the kitchen table together and laughing at me? It sounds like they're eating popcorn. Time out is just what she needs, says my mom. I agree. Keep her locked up, grumbles Mrs. Gobblecracker with her mouth full of popcorn. I run back to my room to tell Mary. Mrs. Gobblecracker is downstairs eating popcorn with my family. Popcorn! What's the big deal about popcorn? Asks Mary. She is eating popcorn with my family. If Mary doesn't understand, I can't explain it. What are you going to do? Asks Mary. No more hiding. No more disguises. No more tricks, I yell. Something serious has to be done. Like what? She says. Give me that banana. I'm calling Mr. Nuggy. Do you remember that Mr. Nuggy can only be reached by any banana? Just pick it up like a phone. Little banana phone. Hello. Hi, it's me. Mrs. Gobblecracker is eating popcorn with my family. Yes, I said popcorn. I can't believe it either. So can you please come back? Whoa! That was fast. Mr. Nuggy crawls in the window and wipes his muddy boots. Thanks so much for coming. Ingredients. I've brought ingredients for a poison soup, he says. This is how we get rid of Mrs. Gobblecracker, permanently. What will happen when she eats the soup? I ask. Well, first she will choke a little bit, then feathers will come out of her ears, and then her eyeballs will turn into gloppy yogurt, and then she'll drop dead. Oh, I say, hugging him. You are the best fairy godmother in the world, but something isn't quite right. I don't mean to be picky, I say, but could you try to look a little more like a fairy godmother? What do you have in mind, he asks. I run to my closet and get some dress-up clothes. Perfect! Next, we make signs for the doctor because Mr. Nuggy says we need privacy to make our soup. After we hang the signs, there's a knock on the door. It's Luke. Mom said you can come out of timeout now. No thanks, I say, and shut the door. Timeout is turning out to be way too much fun. We don't want any more interruptions, so we decide to send Mary out to be our spy. Tell us if she's coming. And wear this wig, I say, and I give her a push out the door. Now that it's quiet, Mr. Nuggy and I finally start cooking. We make the deadliest, most delicious poison soup for Mrs. Gobblecracker. Yuck! She'll love it. Ingredients. We have black olives, electricity, dead wolf juice, blood tubes and tailbones, the rotten parts of all the apples in the world, and of course, chicken broth. That doesn't sound like a very good soup to me. When the soup is ready, we carry it down to the kitchen, while Mary keeps Mrs. Gobblecracker distracted. Then, Mr. Nuggy and I gather materials for a giant fort where we can hide until dinner time, while Mary keeps a lookout. We grab the blankets and sheets and pillows off the beds and collect all the rugs we can, and towels and laundry and bath mats, and put them in a big pile, surrounded by chairs. And we even have to move some tables and put chairs on the tables, and we tie the whole thing up with a huge roll of ribbon. Okay, here's the last page. And the amazing thing is, we did this without my mom even noticing because she's on the phone. Dinner's ready, calls my mom from the kitchen. Of course, Mrs. Gobblecracker is the first to arrive. Okay, now's your chance, I tell Mr. Nuggy. Go talk to her. From the fort, I can hear them in the kitchen. Good evening, Mrs. Gobblecracker. Is that you, Nuggy? Nice dress. Thank you. I have an important message from Dory. You remember Dory, the baby you were coming for. She has agreed to go with you, back to your cave, forever. Great, because I almost forgot what I was doing here. Dory is just what I wanted, but after dinner, he says. No problem, she says. I'm starving. Now that it's safe for me to leave my hiding spot, I come to the table for dinner. I sit next to Mrs. Gobblecracker because I don't want to miss the moment when she chokes on her poisoned soup and drops dead. Hee hee hee! Mr. Nuggy and I make polite conversation. Do you like ice cream? I ask Mrs. Gobblecracker. I can't think of anything more disgusting, she says. Do you have a cell phone? Asks Mr. Nuggy. No, but I really, really want one, she says. Can you get me one? Says Mr. Nuggy, looking unsure what to say next. Do you have a cat? I interrupt. I ate my cat, she says. It was an accident. Oh, then I guess you aren't a vegetarian, I say. Yes, she says. I would eat a vegetarian. Is that what you're having for dinner tonight? We're having soup, says Mr. Nuggy. Just soup. Everything is going smoothly until my dad comes home from work and sits on Mrs. Gobblecracker. Why do you think Dad sat on Mrs. Gobblecracker? Is it because she's fake? Maybe. Watch out! Can't you see the seat is taken? It is, says my dad, looking confused. You're sitting on Mrs. Gobblecracker, I tell him. Can you please move? It's been a long day, says my mom to my dad. At last, everybody is at the table and sitting in their proper seat. Mr. Nuggy serves the soup. Mrs. Gobblecracker picks up her spoon and tastes her soup. I hope she likes it. Wow, I think it's going to work. She looks, oh my, not dead. I don't believe it. Yum. Delicious, says Mrs. Gobblecracker, spooning more into her mouth as it drips down her chin. The soup is a disaster. Nothing happens. No feathers in her ears, no yogurty eyeballs. This is the end of me. Mr. Nuggy whispers to me, I'm so sorry. I must have forgotten an ingredient. Ouch! Screams Mrs. Gobblecracker. Mary bit her ankle under the table. Thanks for trying, Mary, I say, but nothing can save me now. Mrs. Gobblecracker will probably bring me to her cave, I think, and put water in my cereal instead of milk, and put me to bed too early, and not let me jump on her couch. And she won't take me to the library, and she'll eat all my Halloween candy, and she'll always forget to buy bubble bath, and she'll put soggy sandwiches in my lunchbox, and she'll say my nightgowns are too small, and give them away to littler kids, and right when it's time to light my birthday candles, she won't be able to find matches, and she might even cook me in a big pot. She sounds worried. I'll miss you all, I tell my family. I was such a great kid, and now I'm going to be taken away forever. Bye, says Violet. So long, says Luke. As I'm being carried away, out the corner of my eye, I notice baby Cherry in her cradle in the living room. Suddenly, I realize I don't need anyone's help. I can save myself. I wiggle out of Mrs. Gobblecracker's arms and run to pick up baby Cherry. I hold her up high so Mrs. Gobblecracker can get a good look. She stares at Cherry, and she stares at me. Take her! She's quieter and cuter. She looks at Cherry, then back at me. I take a deep breath and try to look very grown up. Huh, she says, grabbing Cherry from me. I open the door for her, and just like that, Mrs. Gobblecracker walks out of the door with baby Cherry. We're free! Yippee! Then I hear screaming. It's my mom. She found my giant fort. Rascal, what is this mess? When did you do this? Clean this up right now. Oh, that's the end. Just one more picture. Okay, are you ready for your sneak peek? Now, chapter 6 is actually the last chapter of this book. So on Monday, when we read again, we'll be done with this book and we'll be able to start the next one. So I will give you your sneak peek of chapter 6. It is called Bouncy Ball. Ooh, Rascal looks like she might be in trouble. You know, I'm wondering, what is this bouncy ball all about? Okay, last picture. All right, so on Monday, we will read our final chapter of the first book of Dory Fantasmagory. Now, over the weekend, what I want you to do is I want you to think about what's going to happen to Mrs. Gobblecracker, because Dory is obviously pretty scared of her, but she can't get her to go away. So, how do you think Mrs. Gobblecracker is going to go away? Or is she not going to go away at all? Something for you to think about, and we will find more out on Monday. I hope you have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.